Good afternoon, my name's Gavin Dietz. Firstly, let me get this going and get all comfortable. The pressure of 6 to 8 minutes is really overwhelming. Who is Wattwatchers? Wattwatchers is an Australian energy technology startup. We make that little black box on the left. It's the most compact, real-time energy monitor available in Australia and in many respects in the world, in many areas of the world and geographies of the world. It measures up to 6 circuits in a house. It works on 3G, 4G, Wi-Fi, Sigfox, LoRaWAN, which are very much regional technologies. And we're working on versions that will be hybrid between those to cover all of the different communications challenges that we have in Australia. But why do we make this device? We make this device because we wanted energy data. The biggest challenge, and I've been working on this challenge for 15 years, is there is no energy data available to most of us. It just simply doesn't exist. I wish there was a really easy way it could exist, but it doesn't. It needs a piece of hardware. There is no magical thing we can just drop in a house that's plug and play and that's going to work. It needs an always-on piece of hardware with independent communications and basically a technical term of API access to enable data to flow freely. Unfortunately, the legacy regulated data network is just not fit for purpose in 2018 to achieve this. What I want to talk to you today is what we can do with some real-time data and take you through a couple of case examples of how we see real-time data working and the benefits it can bring. And this is really part of the passion that drives us to deliver on this technology. The first challenge is we have an engagement issue. I put down the bottom there that energy is Stockholm Syndrome right now. We've had the same bills for as long as I can remember. I've got another presentation where I'll put up usually 2 bills, one from 2004 and one from 2016. They are exactly the same except for the colour. Nothing had changed in 15, well, I can't do my sums, 11 years. It's ridiculous. That everything else we work with involves data. Everything else has changed. Everything else, as we learned, even including condoms, comes with an app. You know, it's madness that the highest cost of living today still doesn't have data or the ability to engage with it in the proper way. So we're very focused on how do you achieve engagement. What we believe in is really simple. Starting at the left, everyone needs data. We need as much data as we can get. With that data, we can build a suite of tools and engagements that allow people to shift their energy and become energy efficient. And then energy efficiency, energy efficiency, energy efficiency. It's the easiest and simplest thing for most of us to do. After that, there's plenty of opportunities to buy better, and I'll go through that in a little bit later. And then we get into solar and battery. A lot of companies start at the right-hand side. We start at the left-hand side to get to the right-hand side. At that point, some of us will put on solar. Some of us might have solar. Some of us might optimize that solar properly. Some of us might even put in batteries. And then we get to really sexy things along demand response, trading, peer-to-peer, and all these sorts of things. But there's a fair bit of work to be done before we get there. There's only 2 things we really know about this right now. Every consumer needs to go on this journey. And for 10 million homes, there's probably 10 million different solutions. There is no silver bullets, as we've heard quite a few times. There is, however, one need for data. I now just want to go through a couple of examples that are sort of close to our heart and how we see things happening. And some of these are mock-ups and some of these are real. Some of these will be available this year, some of them won't. The first one is proper tariff switching. And by proper tariff switching, I mean, and I don't think you can read the numbers on there, but quite simply, we spend electricity and some of us churn based on what we're told, but we should have the ability to see what we spent yesterday and see the 6 other tariffs that I would have been better off on yesterday. And once we can see those 6 tariffs that I would have been better off on yesterday, why can't I just click one of them and change? Like, that's how most of the rest of the world works, and that's what we should be able to do. We can do that with real-time data, and we can do that with real-time control. The second one is working with innovative solar companies. What I didn't touch on before is one of the things that will drive innovation in this space is data. We constantly hear that that's holding back a lot of innovation in Australia. What I was surprised to learn out yesterday in a demand response conference was that only 2% of entrepreneurs and startups in Australia are focused on energy, despite the large numbers we just heard about what it makes up in the GDP. A lot of that is driven because it's really hard to get the data, and you can't drive innovation without it. You know, right now, I mean, we've got a few ideas here that we're going to share with you, but when data flows freely, we will see innovation like we've never seen before. We haven't even started on innovation, and you know, solar and batteries isn't innovation, it's just infrastructure that's rolling out. There's a whole heap of innovation that needs to come around how we engage with people. Working with companies like Solar Analytics, which is one of our strong partners, understanding what your solar do is a classic. I went through this exercise myself, putting 10 kilowatts of solar on, still had a $1,500 bill, was blown away, couldn't work out why. Managed to, without changing my consumption, shift $4,000 of cost out. It's just gone, but we still use the exact same amount of electricity. We just use it the right way, and it, you know, there was no lifestyle loss. But there has been a significant amount of cost reduction. I might point out at that point, I can't actually afford or justify a battery. The other thing that's important on this journey that everyone needs to take is people will drop off at all different spots. Some people want really basic information. Some people will want an M12 CSV file. Everyone will drop off at a different point in the path, and everyone should be able to choose the way they want to do it and how they're going to do it. Another one of our partners has a broader home energy management system and control environment, and you know, that will suit some others. At a bare minimum, and I hope you can read that up there, everyone should have the simplest of budgeting tools. Right now, you know, the ability to just say, I want to spend $4 a day on electricity, just tell me when I'm at $3.50. You know, sometimes you'll get told, sometimes you won't. At least you're in control of it, and we've shifted the energy thinking from the tax part of your brain where you just pay it to the disposable income part of your brain where you go, well, at least I made a choice to spend more than $4 today, where before I never had that choice. It's one of the simplest changes we can do, and it will reduce things like energy fear and energy rationing, which we see a lot of. The last couple of things I wanted to touch on is just, one is the non-use of energy data. We get really caught up in energy datas and pricing and costs and all those sorts of things. There's a whole heap of other value-add services that energy data will provide the community. This is one we call Nana Still Standing, but basically, you know, a simple message that says, hey, give Nana a call, there was no kettle on between 6 and 9 this morning. Really simple things. These are forming a part of products called energy chaperoning. That will service the communities, the disabled communities, senior communities, those communities that want to maintain independence for as long as they can. And lastly, it's a little more technical, but helping us interact with the grid is also very important. This graph shows 3 phases in my house, as it was, in May last year, and one of the phases went to 180, switching off our appliances every night as we tried to cook dinner. It cost us a lot of money. Appliances were switching off. We didn't know how to fix it. Without this data, I could not have had the conversation I needed to have with Ausgrid to get it fixed within the 3 hours that they needed to fix. By the way, it took me 10 days to work that out. Anyway, that's all I've got for today. Thank you.